What's happening in the Arctic is something that we've not seen like this all winter, and it's really impressive. You've got your polar vortex that has been completely decimated, if you will, as a large area of high pressure aloft builds here. Your flow around the Arctic, the opposite of what you would expect, and that does two things. Number one, it creates a stormy pattern, but it also pushes the cold air down into the mid latitudes. It's clear to see how that's happening, and that is really going to mess with our storm pattern over the next couple of weeks. I think it's an active one, and it's nothing like we've seen so far this winter. Certainly nothing that I've seen when I'm looking at these charts. We've got a couple of systems to look at. Of course, the one that's moving through today through the mid-Atlantic into the Appalachians, and then another significant storm across the plains. We're going to dig into these details in this video today. We'll talk about some snow totals. We've also got severe weather on the way across the south heading into Wednesday. This is a much larger look because I think it takes that to see the storms that are lining up, multiple across the northern hemisphere that will eventually impact North America. As we move now into Thursday, our storm that's going to bring the snow from Chicago back to Kansas City is gone. It's out into the North Atlantic, and we're looking west to another storm that's going to bring some heavy snow, some heavy rain across California, into the Intermountain West, and even some moisture into the far southwest. Now we're looking at the potential for more snow across some of the same areas that are seeing snow over the next day, across the Central Plains, into the Great Lakes, and now across the south. I think there's a high concern of severe weather here with a really amplified upper level pattern setting up, a lot of dynamics coming together that could lead to a severe weather outbreak on Saturday. And then behind this low that looks like it's going to rapidly develop, there could be some really heavy snow back from Missouri north up towards the Great Lakes. Does it get snow into Ohio, Indiana? Maybe so, especially on the backside of this as cold air rushes in. We've still got some time to iron out these details, but you can't deny the fact that this is a stormy pattern, a big trough digging in, strong surface low pressure developing as a result of that strong upward vertical motion, and then bang, it moves into the North Atlantic, and we're pretty much done with it really here into eastern Canada. Now, we turn our attention again to what's happening behind that. Your baroclinic zone drops to the south, and low pressure likely is going to form somewhere on the southwest side of this as energy dives in from the north and west. Another system by the middle part of next week, and this one could be a doozy. So still some time to go on that. I'm not going to sell the farm and go with that model at this point in time, but it's definitely an interesting view. Let's zoom in a little bit closer here. Here's the snow moving through the mid-Atlantic today. The snow developing across the Central Plains heading into tonight and into Wednesday. Some of this could get really heavy back here. Decent upper level support across parts of Illinois up into Michigan, so I think that's going to help with some of that snow with that upward vertical motion. And then that moves out, and now our attention turns to this monster moving through the plains. A good look here for diffluence aloft. That's the spreading out of the air, and this is just a severe signature, and the Storm Prediction Center is also seeing it. I'll show you that in just a second, but this is the severe outlook heading into Wednesday. Again, across the south, not only are we dealing with the idea that we could see some strong damaging winds, some hail, but some tornadoes. That tornado threat increasing here across Mississippi, Alabama, back into Louisiana. The weekend could be even more impressive looking across the south. The Storm Prediction Center, this is their day 5 outlook. This is their extended version of that, and they're bullseyeing the south, even up into parts of Tennessee. Let's look at the snow totals. You've got the snow going here into the mid-Atlantic, but more snow on the way back here. We're going to look at some touch numbers from the National Digital Forecast Database from the National Weather Service. Still feeling pretty good with almost 6 inches close to D.C. Some areas could see more than that, especially down towards northern Virginia, Fredericksburg, and then into parts of Delaware, southern Delaware, over to southern Maryland. That looks to be the heaviest snow, maybe a couple of inches here, very close to New York City out toward Long Island. The official forecast looks like it's about 2.5 inches of snow out on Long Island, and then some wintry precipitation across the Northeast as we head into the next couple of days by Wednesday and Thursday. Snow already falling back here through the day today, and more snow across Kentucky. A lot of this already falling, but there's that snow into the Northeast. Not right now. It's going to hold off at least until Wednesday night into early Thursday across northern parts of New England into the upstate areas of New York, where a couple of inches could fall. Find where you are if you live here, and you get the idea of how much snow you're going to see. Some ice, again, down into the southern Appalachians, possible as we get that warm air moving north into the Roanoke Valley, the New River Valley, the Shenandoah Valley, and then even out into the Piedmont here into Virginia. Near Richmond, we'll likely see a transition over to some ice up into Pennsylvania. Some of this not falling right now. We're holding off until maybe even Wednesday night into Thursday into Pennsylvania and New York and southern New England, but more ice back to the west across the Midwest from the Great Lakes down into Missouri with this monster that's rolling through. Let's time this snow out from the Great Lakes northeast of that. Snow picking up across Michigan as we head into Wednesday night and Thursday. It's a pretty quick mover, but nonetheless, still accumulating snow in the forecast. This is the official forecast from the National Weather Service. Northeast Ohio, northern Indiana, back into central Illinois. That's the 2-inch snow line. North of that, that snow really picks up into Michigan, where some of these areas could see over 6 inches of snow. And then back into Chicago. The official forecast right now looks like it's at about almost 8 inches or so. There could be some lake enhancement too as you get a bit of a northeasterly wind off the water, and that could run your totals up just a little bit more, especially if you can get those snow bands to correlate with that wind off of the lake. Snow back into central Illinois, northern Illinois, Milwaukee. We're going to see some snow out of this too, and then back into southern Iowa, Des Moines, further to the south. Once you get towards St. Louis, you're just looking at maybe an inch or two, but some ice. That's going to be a real problem here. Into Iowa, again, the further north you go, those totals really slack off. Once you get up really far to the northern part of the state, we're looking at less than 2 inches, but close to the Missouri border, pushing 8 inches. You're talking about a good 5 to 10 inches in some places. And I say 10 because if you can get a heavier band of snow, it wouldn't shock me for something to outperform the official forecast in this Kansas City metro area, around 8 inches of snow. So give or take, you should be somewhere between, I would say, that 5 and 10 range to be safe. And then as you move further to the west across Kansas, higher snow totals across the northern part of the state. There will be some freezing rain on the southern side of this, especially down across parts of Oklahoma. Some of this could cause some slick travel with just a little bit of ice. And that's all it takes to cause big problems here. And that could extend as far south and west as North Texas. And then we've got more snow on the way a little bit further to the west across parts of Colorado. Eastern Colorado, that's where we're going to see the heaviest snow here. Now, let's sort of move things out in time, and as you can see, there's your snow moving across the plains into the northeast. Big snow across the west, too. I do not want to skip that. There could be some heavy rain into California, northern California, feet of snow, especially into the Sierra, and that moves inland. Heavy rain into southern California with our next storm. Again, that's going to push across the country. Big snow into the Rockies, the Wasatch, and even into the mountains of Arizona and New Mexico. Some snow out of this, too. And then all of this pushes to the east, and your severe weather day on Saturday starts to take shape. I'm going to be following this all week. A very impressive setup as we move through winter. I don't think we've seen winter like this so far. Very different looking, at least in the upper levels, and that's what you got to change up before you see differences. So I'll be tracking it. I hope you'll subscribe and come back. If you're brand new, welcome. I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist years ago on television, but now I'm following this type of stuff. So if you want to follow along, geek out with the weather, I hope you'll subscribe. All right. See you next time.